Welcome to F1GMAT's Ask Atul Jose series. I'm Atul Jose. Today I have an unusual question from a reader. The question is, the MBA application process looks complicated. Where do I start? I never got the chance to break down the process because when a reader or an applicant reaches out to me for help with editing or consulting, they would have researched a lot about schools and ideal post-MBA careers. So let's start with the basics. Number one, MBA Application Rounds. MBA applications to top US business school typically have 3 deadlines. Round 1 in September, Round 2 in January, and Round 3 in March or April. For top European schools, they have 5 to 7 deadline rounds, primarily because they know that many in the application pool that targets US schools would be rejected. Even those who are keen on US schools would consider European schools when they realize that the time invested for the application, which is typically 6 months to a year, would be wasted if they don't get admitted to any top schools. To accommodate this qualified pool, European schools have increased the number of rounds for the application. Number 2, GMAT or GRE and GPA. GMAT or GRE test scores are a great equalizing tool. This is because we are talking about applicants with 3 to 5 years of experience. There's a big conundrum that the admissions team faces every year. Do applicants with great academic performance guarantee great performance at work? To a large extent, yes. There's a certain work ethic that is required to perform at the highest level academically. There is absolutely no alternative to the hours that you need to put in. So GPA or performance in college is a great indicator. The problem arises when different universities adopt different grading methods and criteria. So GMAT or GRE is a tool to standardize the academic performance of an applicant. GMAT has 4 sections: verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, analytical writing assessment or AWA, and integrated reasoning or IR. AWA and IR are not as consequential as your score in verbal and quant. GRE test has verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and analytical writing sections. And like the question types for GMAT that require understanding the concepts and the tricks used by test creators to misdirect the test takers, GRE is straightforward. GMAT is not for those applicants who, despite 2 to 3 attempts, have been scoring in the 650 to 670 range and targeting top schools. A better strategy would be to pivot to GRE prep after your second attempt. Your GPA in the undergraduate degree and or master's is the first data point to validate your academic readiness for an MBA program. A 3.4 GPA and a GMAT score of 730 where verbal is greater than 40 and quant greater than 47 are safe scores. A GRE score of 166 to 167 out of 170 where verbal is above 163 and quant above 167 is a safe score. If your score falls below the ideal score, the next data point for business schools is the story that you capture in essays. So the third element for MBA applications is essays. How you write essays has a huge influence on your admissions. There's a certain tone, voice, and authenticity that comes with the right mix of words and phrases. Many applicants somehow mistake essay writing for dramatic storylines. That is not how essays work for MBA programs. The openers and revelation of life events could be made dramatic, but the essay is about why you have certain values and why you're pursuing your short-term and long-term goals. The who you are and how you became you will improve the believability of the why part of the goals essay. If there is a disconnect between who you are and why you're pursuing goals, no dramatic storylines or phrasing will help you. If you need help creating a believable narrative for your MBA application essays, subscribe to F1GMAT's essay editing service at store.f1gmat.com/essay-editing. Number 4, recommendation letters. Once your GMAT or GRE test score is available, you must consider what's happening in your team, in your organization, and how delicately you can communicate the MBA plan for the recommendation letters. Typically, you need 2 recommendation letters, one from a supervisor in your current organization and one from your previous organization. It is not easy to communicate and request a recommendation letter. That's why we started the recommendation letter editing service, where we guide you with a communication plan. This is because there are 2 outcomes, one where your MBA plan creates a lot of friction, and there is an MBA plan that will be considered a natural progression for your career. Even the 2 outcomes are dependent on the company culture and the supervisors. There are large organizations where an MBA is welcome, while in startups, you can't expect the same reaction. This is because recruitment in startups is done with at least a 2 to 3 year time horizon in mind, and any disruption to the plan might not be taken too kindly. But regardless of how the revelation will play out, start communicating with your supervisor, preferably a month before the deadline. This would give them sufficient time to schedule, take permission if there are strict guidelines on emails from external providers, and write the letter. Help them with a guideline document like how we at F1GMAT do. When you share the plan to apply, you are revealing your next career move to a supervisor that can drastically impact your position in the team and in your organization. Make sure that you had a visible contribution to the supervisor before asking for a recommendation letter. You must be mentally prepared for a lot of change. The fifth element of the MBA application is the experience part. To apply to top MBA programs, you need 3 to 5 years of minimum work experience. Anyone with less than 3 years of experience on join date will be at a disadvantage for MBA admissions, as peer-to-peer learning is a big selling point for schools. There is limited value in accepting an applicant with fewer years of experience unless the person has worked in diverse roles and projects. Most top schools have a certain number of seats allocated to the deferred MBA program for applicants with no experience, but they must fulfill the experience part before joining the program. For UK and European schools, 5 to 7 years is the typical work experience range, while US schools need 3 to 5 years of experience. This difference is from the salary gap between European or UK and US firms. The US typically pays more, at least 30 to 40% more, although the social security support is not optimum compared to Europe or the UK. But still, to compete with US schools, European schools increase the experience requirement to 5 to 7 years. Experience is not just about the number of years alone. Suppose you are stuck in a particular function with no career progression. That's a clear indicator that your employer has not validated your experience or skill sets across functions. Even functional expert at some point in their career would be required to manage projects or team. The earlier your employer shows confidence, the more certain the admissions team can be about your leadership skills. Leadership experience is extremely important for MBA admissions, so make sure that you highlight diversity in traits, communication across hierarchy, leadership during a crisis or a high-stakes project, exposure to different cultures, managing complexity, and an overall understanding of the larger picture with each project. The sixth element is a list of top programs. When you're applying, prioritize top schools or backup schools. This will allow you to target the entry criteria and deadlines for these schools and plan accordingly. Some of the top schools worth targeting are in US, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Booth, Columbia, Kellogg, and MIT Sloan are some of the top schools. NYU Stern, Tuck, Yale, and Darden are the top schools to explore in the US. In UK, London Business School, Cambridge, Oxford, Strathclyde, and Warwick are some of the top schools. Among the European schools, IESE, SDA Bocconi, INSEAD, and HEC Paris stand out. So to summarize, number 1, understand the timeline of the MBA application rounds. Number 2, be aware of the GMAT or GRE and GPA range of your target school. Number 3, learn how to write essays. Number 4, coordinate recommendation letters. Number 5, highlight the diversity of your experience, especially the leadership part. Number 6, make a list of top programs to target. I hope you have a basic understanding of where to start. Reach out to me, Atul Jose, at store.fngmat.com/career-planning for school selection, defining post-MBA goals, and assistance with funding search. Or you can subscribe to our essay review service at store.fngmat.com/essay-review, where I offer end-to-end support with resume editing, recommendation letter editing, and essay editing. Or if you want help only with essays, subscribe to FNGMat's essay editing service at store.fngmat.com/essay-editing.